Hey guys, it's Nicole. Welcome back to the channel. So today's video, I have the newest release from Holo Taco. I'm looking at it in the monitor, like that is so damn pretty. So damn pretty. Ugh. So today's video is for the new Rock Candy collection from Holo Taco. This collection box is stunning. So there are 7 polishes total in this collection. All of them feature a crushed holographic formula as well as a shimmer effect. As I keep saying, the superior formula is holographic plus shimmer. I was really excited to see promos for this release. I knew Christine was dropping hints that we'd get a crushed holo rainbow collection, but I gotta say this was not what I was expecting.
That's suspicious.
The Rock Candy collection is available right now on the Holo Taco website. The bundle listing that features this nifty collection box is still in stock. However, the listing that features this nifty collection box is limited edition, but the polishes themselves are not limited edition. As always, I'll have pricing and sale information at the end of the video. I did receive this collection as a gift from Holo Taco in PR with no obligation to post, and this video is not sponsored. Thank you, Holo Taco, for sending these over to me. As always, down in the description box, links to where you can pick these polishes up, links to the brand's social media pages, my social media pages, and of course, timestamps down there as well. Let's get into this video. Alrighty, going in rainbow order. First up, we have Pop Rocker, which Holo Taco describes as a crushed holographic in a bubblegum pink with a indigo to blue iridescent micro shimmer underglow. Pop Rocker had a fantastic formula. I did find this one to be a little bit less opaque than some of the other shades. I'm going to call this one a 2 to 3 coater depending on personal preference and potentially application style. For my fill-in swatches, I swatched this one in 2 coats plus glossy top coat. I could see a little bit of visible nail line with this one in 2 coats. However, I really liked coverage in 2 coats, so I just stopped there. I think if you're more of a stickler on seeing visible nail line, you're gonna want to go in for a 3rd coat. As someone who absolutely loves pink, I knew that I was gonna like this one. The shimmer in here is not the most in-your-face color shifty moment. I think the official description calling this one an underglow really described it very well. It's more of like a glow from within rather than like a boom in-your-face color shifty moment. I found on the nail it was largely looking like a bluish purple. I personally like cool tone pinks a lot more than I like warm tone pinks, so I really like this color a lot. I feel like it's a little bit darker than I would usually think of as a bubblegum pink, but it's like in the medium pink category. Nothing in here is going to dry down textured. However, the polish does dry down very flat, so you will definitely want top coat for a glossy finish. The flakies and shimmer will make removal a little bit messy, but not overly difficult. And now we have Jam Session, which Holo Taco describes as a red coral in the crushed holographic formula with a pink iridescent micro shimmer underglow. Jam Session is the first of 3 polishes in the release that I did end up adding a little bit of thinner to. It wasn't so thick that I thought the polish was like unusable. I just thought that just like a couple of drops of thinner would just make application just like a tiny bit more pleasant for me, and I was right. I liked application a lot more once I added thinner to this one. Looking at promotional shots, I found this was the color that I was least interested in. No fault to the polish itself, I think just based off of personal preference. I always forget that there is a shade of red that is in the coral family. I always think of like a orangey or a pinky color as coral, and I just hopped onto Google Images to find out what red coral was, and yeah, this is that color. Admittedly, I'm still not a huge fan of this base color, but the shimmer in here I absolutely loved. I mean, it's a pink shimmer, so who's really surprised that I like the pink shimmer? I did find that the shimmer in here is going to be one of those shimmers where if you're near a really bright light, I think the shimmer is going to look exceptionally strong and glowy. You can see here in my studio lighting what I mean by that. You can see the little pinpoints where my lights are hitting my nails that like the shimmer looks exceptionally strong. My fill-in swatches here show Jam Session in 3 coats plus a glossy top coat. I'll call this one another 2 to 3 coater depending on personal preference and application. As with all the polishes in this release, it does dry down fairly flat, so you will definitely want glossy top coat to bring shine back to the manicure, but the holographic flakies themselves do not dry down textured and will not make removal difficult. And now we have Sunshine Crush, which the brand describes as a crushed holographic in a golden yellow with orange to pink iridescent micro shimmer underglow. This is the shade in this release that I was really looking forward to seeing what I thought this color was. I did a poll in my Discord server on whether or not this was orange or yellow or something in between. Personally, I think it's orange, maybe a marigold. I wouldn't personally classify this as yellow, but I kind of feel it does have some kind of golden vibe to it. I knew I was going to love this shade. This is absolutely stunning. I love the base color. I love how the shimmer gives you a nice color shifty moment. It's not the most in-your-face color shifty moment. I still really do think that the holographic flakies are the star of the show, and the shimmer across the board for all of these just gives you a nice kind of glow to the nail. This is another one of the shades that I did end up adding just like a little bit of thinner in my bottle. Again, I didn't think that the formula was so thick that like it was unusable, but I felt like it could just be just a tiny bit thinner just to make application a little bit better in my opinion. My full-in swatches show Sunshine Crush in 2 coats plus glossy top coat. You can see here in natural lighting that I did have a little bit of visible nail line, but I didn't feel like it was enough to warrant me to add in a 3rd coat. Much like all the other polishes in the release, you will want top coat for a glossy finish, and this is not going to be difficult to remove. And now we have Sour Note, which the brand describes as a crushed holographic formula in a green shade with pink to yellow iridescent micro shimmer underglow. Sour Note had a really nice formula. It was slightly on the thicker side. By no means overly thick. I did not add any thinner to my bottle. This is one of the polishes in this release that I kind of wish the shimmer was just like a tiny bit stronger. Like, I get from the description on all of these that the shimmer is supposed to have like an underglow, so it's not like a boom in your face kind of shimmer, but I kind of wish that it was anyway. I found for the most part on the nail I was seeing the yellow in the shimmer. I wasn't seeing a ton of the pink. I do like the shade of green a lot. I feel like the shade of green is very much like green candy. My swatches show Sour Note in 2 coats plus a glossy top coat. I'm going to call this one another 2 to 3 coater. As you can see here in natural lighting, I did have a little bit of visible nail line with this one, but again, I didn't think it was bad enough to get me to add a 3rd coat. Just like all the other shades in this release, this does not dry down texture, but it does dry down very dull, so you will want top coat for a glossy finish. Removal won't be difficult like a glitter polish will, but the flakies in the shimmer will make things a bit messy. And now we have Blue Rizzler, which Holo describes as a crushed holographic formula in a blue violet shade with pink iridescent micro shimmer underglow. The way the pink shimmer really pops from this bluish purpley base is kind of along the lines of what I was expecting from all the polishes in this release. Contrasting shimmer is really where it's at. Blue Rizzler had a fantastic formula. It was a little bit thinner and a little bit more sheer than the other polishes were. While I had pretty good coverage in 2 coats, I kind of felt that I could deepen up the base just a little bit, so my full-in swatches do show Blue Rizzler in 3 coats plus glossy top coat. I really feel like this is in the blue/purple family, but I wouldn't call it a blurple. Part of me wants to call it periwinkle, but I don't feel like that's quite the color it is either. Whatever the color is, it's absolutely beautiful. I'm not sure if it's because the base seems a little bit thinner or if it's because the shimmer contrasts more from the base color, but I kind of felt like this one had like a much stronger shimmer effect than some of the other colors in the release. So that is Blue Rizzler in 3 coats plus a glossy top coat. Once again, this does dry down very flat. You will want top coat for a glossy finish, but removal won't be overly difficult, just very messy. And now we have Electric Sweetener, which Holo describes as a crushed holographic formula in a purple magenta shade with blue iridescent micro shimmer underglow. Electric Sweetener had a really nice formula. This was another one of the polishes that was a little bit more thin and a little bit more sheer than some of the other colors in the release. If anything, it probably has closer to like a normal consistency rather than the slightly on the thicker side consistency that I generally find for Holo shades. While this one did look very sheer on that 1st coat, I did really like coverage that I built up in 2 coats, so my full-in swatches here show it in 2 coats plus glossy top coat. I do think this is going to be another 2 to 3 coat depending on application style and personal preference, as I did have some visible nailing with this one in 2 coats. My VNL was not strong enough in 2 coats that I would say that this was a sheer finish or a sheer polish by any means. I think you can reach full opacity with it in 3 coats. While Holo does not describe this polish as a neon, I feel like something about it just feels neon-esque, even if it's not quite as bright as a neon. Removal, of course, will be on the more messy side, but not overly difficult at all. This does dry down flat, so you will want top coat for a glossy finish. This polish reminded me a lot of Cert Colors Jammin' Out from their recent Twisted Tea Party collection. I would not describe these 2 polishes as being dupes, but I do think they are fairly similar. The Cert Colors polish is significantly more sheer than this one is, and the type of holographic is also different between the 2 polishes. I obviously can justify owning both polishes because I think they are different and they're not exactly the same, But I know some of y'all see these two and see the same thing, so do what you want with that information. And the final polish in this release is called Sugar Rush, and the brand describes it as a crushed holographic formula in an off-white shade with yellow to orange iridescent micro shimmer underglow. This is the shade in the entire release that, one, I thought was an interesting choice for a rainbow collection, and two, I was a little concerned by. White is the only color polish from Holo Taco that I have consistently not really been in love with what they've put out. I found a lot of them to be just a little bit too finicky, and I didn't like the overall look of the polish after 3 coats on me. Formula on this was really good. It was on the thicker side. I ended up adding thinner to my bottle halfway through doing my full hand swatches. I was kind of curious to see if adding thinner would make application better or not. Once I added thinner, I found it went from being like a solid 2-coater on me to me needing 3 coats to reach full opacity. So I'll call this one a 2 to 3 coater depending on your application and whether or not you add thinner to it or not. I find myself to be very picky when it comes to white polishes. It's just not a color that I generally like because I really dislike seeing any kind of unevenness or dark spots in the overall look on the nail. And I was just really pleased with how even the overall base looked on this one. While the brand does describe the shimmer as being a yellow to orange, I think it looks more of like a gold color. And I felt like when I brought this one outside, I could see some hints of green at very extreme angles. My full hand swatches show Sugar Rush in 2 to 3 coats. I had 2 nails that were good in 2 coats, and I had 2 nails that I did 3 coats on, and those were the nails that got the polish with the thinner added. And for the final time, removal on this one is not going to be overly difficult, but it will be very messy due to the flakies and the glitters. This does dry down fairly flat, so you will want top coat for a glossy finish. So I saw some of y'all are cutting up on social media talking about that this polish is basically a dupe for Milky White Shimmer. I don't know what to tell y'all. If you see these two things side by side and you're saying, yep, that's exactly the same, I don't know what to tell you. They're not the same. There is holographic in this polish. The shimmer color is also different, and this also has more opacity than Milky White Shimmer. I totally get that we all see colors and finishes differently, but these are not the same polish.
Stop it. Get some help.
Alrighty, so final thoughts. As I mentioned at the beginning of the video, this was not exactly what I was thinking when I was thinking that Holo Taco was going to do a Rainbow Crushed Holo collection. So I was pleasantly surprised by this color story, which is right over here in case you forgot it already. I think the biggest surprise for me personally in this release was a white polish. And then based on what I've seen from other comments as well and folks in live streams, I think the white was also a surprise for a lot of you all. I will admit I was a little bit concerned that the white was going to be really streaky. From my memory, I think Holo Taco has released 3 white polishes in the past, and honestly they weren't exactly my favorites from the brand at all. Although I do actually like not Milky White, but the other whites wasn't really my favorite. So I was really happy with how even coverage I got with Sugar Rush. Like really happy how even that was. So overall, I thought this was a fantastic collection, but as you all know, I see rainbow and I lose my mind. But I do really like all the formulations on these. At first, I wasn't sure if I was going to like or dislike the fact that these also had shimmers in them, but based on my own personal preferences, I feel like I shouldn't have been concerned about the shimmer. I think the only thing I would have personally changed about the shimmer effects in some of these is have them be more contrasting, but I just personally really like a contrasting shimmer from the base because I feel like it pops a little bit more, but again, that's my personal preference. Honestly though, I'm having a really hard time trying to decide which is actually going to be my top pick from this one. I think I'm gonna go with Sunshine Crush because like I really liked how that looked on me, but I feel like all of these were also really good. I think if I was like shopping on a budget and I could only get like 3 or 4 of these, I would probably go with Sunshine Crush, Pop Rocker, Sour Note, and then Sugar Rush. I think those would be the ones that I would grab if I was shopping on a budget or just wait for a sale. One or the other. I would love to know what everyone else saw of this release. Are you planning on picking it? Have you already picked it up? Y'all know the drill. Let me know. As far as pricing and sale information goes, Holo Taco polishes are in 12 ml bottles. All the polishes in this release are priced at $14. Holo Taco is 10-free, cruelty-free, as well as being vegan. As I mentioned earlier, this collection is not limited edition. The listing that features all 7 polishes plus this nifty collection box is priced at $98. And since we're talking about the collection box, let me show y'all. So here is the front of the collection box. And then here is the back. Pretty much all the backs of the collection boxes look pretty much exactly the same. And then we open her up And this is the inside. I think this might be my favorite collection box they've done in quite a while, but I think that's also because this is just chock full of rainbows, and I love me a rainbow. Before we end today's video, I do want to give a very special shout out to my channel members, Shenanigang. Just thank you guys so very much for the love and support. Names, of course, all on the screen right now. If you'd like to sign up for my channel memberships, there is a link for that in the description box, or you can just click join next to the subscribe button. So just thank you all for joining me for today's video. I really hope you enjoyed it. And in case you missed the announcement, the channel name is back to being Nicole Loves Nails. I started a new second channel for all of my non-nail polish content adventures. If you all enjoy my non-nail polish related content, feel free to join over there. There's a link for it in the description box. It's up in the cards. It'll be in the end cards as well. Thanks again for joining me for today's video, everyone. Hope you enjoyed it. Have a fantastic week, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye! Surprise! Bonus footage. I feel like I haven't done this in so long. The sun decided to come back out today, and since I was still wearing Sugar Rush, I kind of went outside for you all to see what this looked like in sunlight. This is so damn pretty. I do think there is a green color shift in this one at very extreme angles. Like, I don't think it's the reflection of the grass. And here is some chickens, because I feel like we haven't had the chickens in a video in a while. Thanks for watching!
Big ass when I get high. I ain't looking at the clock, still ballin' like Brian. Yeah, I'm headed to the Bucks, then I'm ballin' like yeah.